Childhood excursions is meant to feel very fun under the fingers, and the way that we're going to get there is by using your elbow and your wrist to guide your fingers up and down the keys. Much like a conductor using their elbows and wrists to guide the orchestra through the music, your elbow is in charge of the motions of your fingers. Your fingers are simply responding to the motion of your elbow and your upper arm with a nice loose wrist. So I want you to think about that as you're playing that. Your elbow's in charge of the movement, not your hand leading, your elbow leading, okay? And the second most important principle also is that your elbow is also behind every finger as it plays. So there are these larger motions where your elbow is moving up or down, parallel, contrary, across the keys. And then there are other motions happening all the time where your elbow is behind each finger. You play your pinky, your elbow is behind your pinky, straight line. Play your third finger, your elbow has moved to support that finger. Play your thumb, your elbow is next to your torso to support your thumb. Okay, so this motion is happening continually with a nice loose wrist, side to side, and then we have these gross motor straight across motions. Okay, we'll look at the specifics of each song also. So we know the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. And we really want to use that in riding the rails to move across these pentatonic passages really quickly. Your right hand is often moving towards your body. Your left hand moves towards and back and forth. Okay. It's one motion down and across. Back and forth. No curvature, no lifting the hands, but just straight across the keys. And that's how you're going to achieve speed and fluidity in this song. In Monarchs, we're going to practice wrist circles, wrist and elbow circles. The motion starts right here in my elbow. I'm drawing a little circle with my elbow, and my wrist is following, and my fingers are just responding to that motion. I could do that for a long time because it's not tiring at all. It's very loose. My melody's in the left hand, so I want to concentrate on bringing that out and keeping this very light and gentle, kind of barely touching the keys because the pedal's going to connect everything for me. And then you have some fun contrary motion in the B section, towards and away. Night on the Town is a little jazz swing tune that has a lot of chromaticism, half steps, right? And oftentimes when we have a lot more black keys, we feel more secure if we're playing the black keys towards the backboard of the piano. We call this the backboard. So we're going to slide in when we have more black keys and come back out when we have more white keys. And that in-out motion is also directed by your elbow with a loose wrist, right? So definitely use that to help you, especially in tricky passages. Out, in, to help you with a loose wrist, but everything starts here. Waterfall is about wrist rotation, same motion we use to turn a doorknob. You can go back and forth between thumb and fifth finger, or thumb and fourth finger. I like to alternate, just to keep myself accountable to playing really even. So I want you to practice that turning motion in your wrist on the intro and the outro. Harvest is all about drop, lift, slurs. That means I'm going to drop into the first note of the slur and pick up my hand on the last note. This works well for 2-note slurs, 3-note slurs, which you have in this song. It gives you a little emphasis on the first note because you're dropping weight, and then the second note is nice and crisp staccato because you're lifting your wrist, right? Sometimes you have a 3-note slur, same thing, drop, lift, drop, lift. Now, in between the slurs, you want to move straight across because the tempo is vivace, right? So down, up, across, over and over and over again. And then you have longer phrases later in the song, measure 21, for instance, where you have 4 measures slurred together. And that's where you want to use straight across, horizontal motion to get from one place to another as quickly as you can.